You are listening to the Dyslexia Mom Life podcast. I'm Nicole Holcomb, former teacher and school counselor turned civil rights attorney and podcast host. It wasn't that long ago that we learned the reason that our daughter was struggling to learn to read in first grade was dyslexia. Fast forward 4 years past many hours of research and collaborating with experts in the field of dyslexia, now I'm sharing the lessons I have learned that took me from being an overwhelmed mom who didn't understand dyslexia to a go-to mom who is helping hundreds of moms each week through education and collaboration. I created the Dyslexia Mom Life podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies and hacks to help you do the same. If you're feeling alone and lost on your parenting dyslexia journey and you're looking to find a mom who gets it, you're in the right place. Let's jump in and get started. You are listening to episode 100, the lessons I've learned from 100 episodes. It's a week of celebration here at Dyslexia Mom Life. Not only are we celebrating our 100th episode, oh my goodness, we're so just excited about the whole conversation about what I've learned, what our team has learned, what you've learned. There's just so much greatness going on this week, so I'm so glad you're here with us. But in addition to celebrating the 100th episode, we are also celebrating over 61,000 downloads and growing daily because of you. Thank you. And a 50th birthday this week on St. Patrick's Day. Yes, yours truly. That's a conversation for another day. But yes, needless to say, there is a lot of cake going on at our house and way too many candles to count that are being blown out this week. So our house is full of buzz and excitement and celebration this week. And let me just say, it is so worth it. It has all been so worth it. So today, I want to share with you the 5 biggest lessons I've learned from these 100 episodes. But before we get started, I just want to take a few minutes to thank my amazing team and the people that support this podcast, including you. So I want to start off with you. Thank you to everyone listening, but especially to the mom that needs to hear this today. I am truly inspired by you. I see you, and every day you keep me going. You're the reason I come back every day. I want to say a huge thank you to my team. I want to start off with Chris. Not only is my hubby who supports all of my ideas and has let's just say an endless amount of patience as it comes to this whole entrepreneurial endeavor and learning about podcasting and just, all the things business. And so he's been extremely patient, and thank you so much. But above that, you might not realize that my husband also has many talents, not only in video editing, but he is also the podcast producer for Dyslexia Mom Life. And so the amazing quality of audio that you hear is kudos to him. So thanks to Chris for all the behind the scenes work that he does every day. I want to thank Olivia. She is one of my virtual assistants. She has been amazing the last few months, helping me out with my Pinterest, with merchandising, kind of just brainstorming what you need and how to make that happen. She is smart and funny, and to be honest, she's one of my favorite people. Rachel is really new to our team. She's only been with me for a few weeks now, but let me just say, we have already connected. We have already gelled all things podcasting, vision, and marketing. So we've got some good things coming up this month and some announcements later on this month that I think that you will be so excited about, and more about that later. But Rachel is making that happen. So thanks to Rachel. I also want to give a heartfelt thank you to my mother. She is always my cheerleader. She keeps my family fed, and the baked goods are flowing daily at our house. Let me just say, she's definitely got, if someone has a green thumb, well, she definitely got, I guess, the baking spoon because she can whip up anything that you want. And so we're kind of known as the go-to house for sweets. And she does all those things out of the goodness of her heart. And she also does those to support our family. So there is never a moment that we don't have a meal available to us or something sweet to take the edge off of the day. And last but not least, she may not even hear this, and that's okay. But I want you to know that I want to thank my daughter. She turned 11 last month, and she is an amazing inspiration. Not only are you my inspiration, but she is my inspiration. And every day, I'm going to get choked up. Every day, she makes me want to be a better mom. She makes me want to be a better person for her, right? To model how I want her to see the world, and just the relationship that is growing, and the life seasons and lessons that we're learning together are just amazing. And so, without her, I would have never endeavored on this whole dyslexia journey, nor would I be here talking to you today. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to my daughter, Hattie, who is nothing short than amazing and has an amazing spirit about her that I love. So thank you to her. So let me talk a little bit about today's show. We are absolutely going to jump in here in a minute and talk about the lessons that I've learned. But today is not only about, us celebrating Dyslexia Mom Life. It is also about celebrating you. So I've got some things as a thank you. Thank you for being here along this journey with me. Today's show is brought to you by our totally free, binge-worthy listening guide. There's no better way to celebrate this milestone than sharing with you the top 10 most downloaded, most listened to, and most impactful episodes. Grab your earbuds because these are definitely going to be some of your favorites. They're full of education, strategies, and tips for moms raising children with dyslexia. You can grab a copy of your guide at dyslexiamomlife.com/guide to grab your copy today. So, are you ready to jump into today's episode? Let's do it. The 5 biggest lessons I've learned from 100 episodes and 61,000 plus downloads. The very first one, and these are in no particular priority order, so it's not like the first one's the most important. They're all, to me, equally important as far as the biggest lessons I've learned. So let me start with the first one. The first one is my growing love for podcasting. I have to tell you a little story. So it used to be that I would get in the car to go somewhere with Chris, and he would immediately say, let's listen to a podcast. And I have to be honest, at the time, I was working at a school district. I spent all day with people running in and out of my office, asking questions, telephone calls. And I can recall looking at Chris and saying, no, I don't want to listen to anyone else talk at me. But I have to say, after a period of time of commuting a couple of years ago, I would spend so many hours in the car commuting, about probably three a day when we first moved for our daughter to go to a specialized dyslexia school. So that first year I drove back and forth. I mean, there's only so much music and so many audiobooks I could listen to. So I started finding a couple of podcasts that I really identified with, I really enjoyed. I listen to them still. They're amazing people. And they had such great value they were giving. And I just started to really love the storytelling and the things I was learning and the resources I was getting. Not to mention that I could listen to something and then come back to it, right? Where with an audiobook, sometimes you get kind of lost and have to go back and start, a couple chapters back. I loved with podcasting, sometimes they're short. I can jump in and listen, or I can go back to something. So I started kind of cultivating an interest. At the same time, though, I was also had this I guess you would say this passion or this drive to really start my own business. And so I started blogging, that was a thing. I guess it still is for many people, but I started several different blogs. I had a Disney blog because we're just all things Disney at our house. Like we love some Disney. So I had a blog about Disney for a while. I did a food blog because I think, like I said earlier, there's always food flowing in and out of our house, and it's something that we enjoy. We enjoy going to local restaurants. We enjoy highlighting other restaurants. And so for a quick minute, I talked a little bit about food on a food podcast. Not a podcast, a blog. And then Chris kept saying, you need to do a blog about dyslexia. And I was like, yeah, no. I'll be honest. It was so raw at the beginning. It was... I don't know. It was just working through all the things for myself. before I could really serve others. And so there was just a period of time that I didn't have, I guess, the bandwidth or capacity, or I don't know. I guess I just had that I was working through my own stages of grief, I guess, at that point in time. But then I realized at some point, people started talking to me about dyslexia, started, consulting with people and talking to people and talking to schools. And then I got into my current job, which I'm a civil rights attorney, and I work specifically with school districts as it relates to civil rights. And I work with them from the government standpoint. I work for the U.S. Department of Education. And so I got a whole different way to look at things, right? And so it just kept kind of coming back and coming back. So I eventually started a blog. How this has to do with loving podcasts, we'll get there. Hang with me. But I found with creating yet another blog is there just wasn't that connection. Yeah, Facebook groups are, kind of love-hate with those in general, right? But I was wanting a real connection with people. And I realized that the podcasters I was following, I was, in their communities, I was in their courses, and I was really connecting with them on a deeper level. And then I thought about you. I thought about you as the busy mom, right? That you've got all the things going on. You may have, multiple children at different stages. You may work, outside of the home. You may not. You may be, work from home. Like I'm working remotely. You may be a stay-at-home mom. Like there's just different types of moms, right? And we're all amazing, beautiful people. I'll just say that. But so I started thinking about you though. Like, would you have time to dedicate to reading a blog? Maybe sometimes. And then I started thinking about one particular friend, and I thought, reading is a struggle still, even as an adult. And I thought, podcasting. That's it. I need to create a podcast. And I never will forget, I went to Chris and I said, I think I want to start a podcast. He was elated. He's like, well, thank goodness. Like he was so excited to get started and whatever he could do to help. So that's full circle how we came to podcasting. But what I have grown to love about podcasting is several things. One, which to me has been the most important, is the connection with you, connection with the audience, really getting to know you through emails that you send me. I love those, by the way. Connecting through the Facebook group that I have for the podcast. Love to see you over there. Just connecting with the audience on a deeper level and getting to really know your story has been amazing. But then also collaborating with experts, with people, are so gracious when you asked, would you like to come be on the podcast? Keep in mind that they don't get paid to be on the podcast. Like they come and serve because they believe in you and they believe in dyslexia. And it's just amazing. People, I would say 9 out of 10 times say yes. And the one person that says no says, I don't have the time in my schedule, but can you check back with me in 3 months and 6 months? And so they're still on my maybe list. We'll circle back to them. But I have, met some amazing people through the podcast, and I've really grown to enjoy and love just the opportunity that podcasting has brought. I've been asked to speak at several events. I've been able to talk to, like I said, so many moms and coach and consult with so many moms. It's really been amazing. So what's number 2? I mean, what can top the love of podcasting as the things that I've learned, right? Like you would think going in, you would know you like podcasting. I hated the sound of my voice at the beginning. Now it is what it is, right? So there's all these pieces, but I really do love podcasting. And I have several friends that ask me about it. Absolutely. Let me tell you how to get started. So I'm a huge person that, I guess a huge fan, you would say, of podcasting in general. So number 2, what is the second biggest thing I've learned in 100 episodes? Well, this may not surprise you, but there are so many layers to dyslexia. I can remember in 2nd grade when we started at the dyslexia school that my daughter's at. She started 2nd grade there. That was her first year in a school that was what they call an immersion school for dyslexia. And I can remember we had a little bump that year in trying to figure out some pieces of really her learner profile, I guess you would say. And I never will forget the teacher said, Nicole, Oh my goodness. This is like peeling an onion. So you're going to deal with one thing, and then you're going to peel back a layer, and then you're going to peel back a layer. And so one of the things I've learned this year, not only on my own parenting journey with a fifth grader, but also my journey as a podcaster, is there are so many layers to dyslexia. Every one of our children are unique. They each have a unique learning profile. They each have a unique passion and strength and talent. And I love that about our community. So one of the biggest things I've learned is there are so many layers, that this journey is evolving and changing and growing, and I'm doing my best to enjoy the journey. There are days that's hard, right? There's hard to have patience with that journey. And it also drew me to start writing about that. And so I think about the different seasons of dyslexia and what are the seasons that we experience in that journey. So definitely there are so many layers, and we have so much more to talk about, right? Like, this isn't done. We got many more shows in us to talk about things. Now, before I tell you number 3, the third biggest thing I've learned, I want to take a minute again to remind you this podcast today and always is about you. But as we celebrate the 100th show, I've got some giveaways for you. To celebrate you, to say thank you, sincerely. Thank you for being here and supporting the show and sharing the show. Now, the best way I can figure out to do this, though, is I want to give back to you. So I'm going to be giving away t-shirts and journals and books and stickers and maybe some jewelry in there, and definitely a couple of coffee chats just with me. Now, how can you go about being selected for the giveaway, right? Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am not going to post these giveaways on Instagram, on Facebook. I am only going to give these giveaways to my actual audience, not people that happen just to see me somewhere. So the only way you're going to know about this giveaway is either you listen to the podcast today. I may mention it in the private Facebook group just for the podcast, but I might kind of tease it, right? Like I may say, go listen to the podcast. There's some goodies in there. So I may or may not do the giveaway in there, but I want to really, truly give back to you as my community and you as my audience as a huge thank you to all that you do to support us. And so to do that, I think the best way to do that is through the podcast. So because of that, and you're busy time of the year, I'm going to have this giveaway open for 2 weeks. So it's going to officially close on March 31st. But I would say you should do it right after you listen to the podcast. And I'll remind you again at the end of the podcast to go do it. So how you're going to do that is there's going to be a link in the podcast description. So you don't even have to go anywhere. You just go right down to the podcast description in your podcast app, click on a link. It's going to take you to something called SpeakPipe. It is a website. It's going to allow you to leave me an audio message. And all I ask for really is to register you for the giveaway is for you to tell me what you like or love about the show. So for those of you who are listening, I know that you wouldn't be here unless you're getting value. So why do I ask for that? One, I have to have some way to figure out how to give these things away, right? And then the other piece, as far as like choosing people. So I need people to register so I know that you're interested in the giveaway. And then 2, we need to spread more dyslexia awareness. And to be able to do that, moms need to hear from you directly. And as moms come to the website, as they go to the podcast, we want them to see other moms. It's fine for me to say the podcast is great, but when you say, I really resonated with X guest, or I really resonate with what Nicole is saying, obviously I'm not saying to say those things. I'm just saying, tell me why you love the podcast. What are you getting from the podcast? And I would like to use those on my website. I would like to use those, perhaps since they're going to be audio messages, I may even play them on some of the podcasts. So we'll see. But if you will go register for the giveaway, I am so excited to be giving some things away to you because I want you to know I appreciate you and I see you. So let's move on. Number 3, what is the third biggest takeaway I've gotten this year? What's the third biggest thing I've learned? I have also learned, this goes a little bit with number 1, that I'm a huge fan of stories. So you may or may not know about me at this point. I love to read. And Chris will tell you it's funny because many times I will have multiple books I'm reading at a time. It kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in the day or what I'm trying to learn about. So I might have multiple books I'm reading in a week or a month or whatever. But I also have learned, well, I knew that piece, right? Like I knew I enjoyed books, but what I've really learned about stories is that I love connecting and learning about yours. I love learning more about you, your children's profiles, what you're struggling with. You have been so open, so vulnerable, and so kind to reach out, to send emails, to, talk to me over Zoom calls, to, be coached, to, send me a DM on Instagram or join the Facebook group and send messages or, collaborate with people in the group or ask questions. All of those pieces I have absolutely loved, and it keeps me coming back every single week and many times every single day to do something to move the business. So I just have to say that has been one of the pieces that is probably one of my favorites out of the 5, which is, again, just listening to stories and learning more about you and learning more about your journey has been an honor and continues to be an honor every day. So thank you for that. Number 4, done is better than perfect. So you may hear this in other circles of business that people, or even in life, that people are like, you know what, you just got to keep moving. You can't make progress unless you're putting things out in the world, right? And we do this with our kids even, like, you got to put something out there so the teacher can tell you, yes, you're on the right track, or no, let's help you refine something. And so, but done is better than perfect. I am a very type A perfectionist kind of person. For those of you who've been here a minute, probably know that. I'm very detail-oriented. I'm very list-oriented. I like to have a list of what I'm doing, what I'm checking off, what I need to do tomorrow. I'm very visionary. So sometimes I get stuck somewhere, right? And I need to keep moving. And so what I've learned with the podcast is you just want me to show up. You just need me to be here and to be open and honest with you. And so that's what I do. But I've learned that, done is better than perfect. So we got to put it out there so that you can interact with it and you can give feedback. But it also reminds me of parenting, right? We're so worried many times that we're not going to be our best, that we're going to do the wrong thing or make the wrong decision, that we're stuck and paralyzed to make any decision. And that doesn't benefit anybody. So I would say, I've learned the lesson from podcasting, like, let's do this. Let's just keep moving and keep moving the needle. But in addition to that is do my best parenting, right? And do the best leading with my heart. And so that's what I do. So done is better than perfect is number 4. Number 5 is that guests are more than just experts. Let me say that again. Guests are more than just experts. They are now all part of my growing dyslexia community. They've been nothing but supportive. Many of them have talked to you, have talked to people in our community, have received emails from you, phone calls from you, DMs from you. And if you have resonated with a podcast episode and you want to reach out to somebody, there is always ways on the show notes. If you go back to dyslexiamomlife.com and go to the podcast, you will see all the episodes and you'll have links to how to connect with people. And for people that don't have social media, they'll have emails and phone numbers. And many people have said, you know what, your community has reached out. They've called me, they've emailed me, they've asked me amazing questions. So I want to encourage you to never be afraid to reach out and ask a question to me or any of my guests. They want to serve. They truly are honored to be here and serve you. So I want you to remember that. And I just, realize that our guests want to serve, and they really have become part of my community as far as my personal dyslexia community, and they're always there to support the work of dyslexia. So that's been just truly amazing. But like I said, in the forefront of everything is I am, honored to serve our community, and I'm honored to be here today to talk directly to you. So let me tell you a few ways, and share with you rather a few ways that I want to serve you today. So one is, before you click off of today's episode, a couple of things. Number one, you're going to want to grab a copy of your guide, your listening guide. It's going to have the top 10 episodes that have been downloaded, listened to, binged, however you want to say that. In the guide, I have also hyperlinked out to different podcast apps. So literally, if you find the ones that you like, hopefully you would want to listen to all 10. And if you listened before, you might want to re-listen to a few of them. But I have the links in there so you can easily click on the links and go directly to those episodes. So that's number one, get your free guide. Number two, come join me at the Facebook group community. It is Dyslexia Mom Life podcast community. You'll be asked a couple of questions, really simple, just to kind of weed out people as far as marketers and things like that. I want true moms in there that are giving to others and that can help support you. So come on over there, introduce yourself to the group, say hi. We would love to have you in the Facebook group. Number three, share the podcast. There's no better way for you to serve our community than for you to share. It's really easy. There should be a button in your podcast app that sometimes there's like a little arrow button, and it will actually, I know I use several different podcasting apps that I listen on. All of them have a share button. You may have to kind of search around to see which one it is. I can share it out by email, by text message. I can share it to my social. There's a lot of ways to share it. If you want to tag us in there, Dyslexia Mom Life, that's great. I don't even worry about that piece. I just want you to share the podcast with a friend, a coworker, a teacher, a family member, anybody you believe this would serve. And then number four, I know you have a lot of to-dos today, so I apologize about that. But you know what? Every one of them absolutely serves you. And number four, you are going to go leave a message on SpeakPipe. That is the place you leave an audio message so that you are entered in the giveaway. The link is right there on your podcast app in the description. Just click on the link and it will enter you in the giveaway. You do have to leave me a message though, saying why you enjoy the podcast. You might see that on my website. You might hear that on one of the future episodes. So give me a shout out as to why you enjoy the podcast, and you will be entered in one of the giveaways. Like I said, I have a lot of swag I'm going to give away, and I would love to give that to you. So leave the podcast review, and that is it. So number one, grab your guide. Number two, get into the Facebook group. Number three, share your podcast that you love the most with whoever's in your life that you feel like needs to hear it. And number four, you want to enter for the giveaway. So take 2 minutes, do those couple of things, and then you're good to go. And remember, you got this. You're not alone. Enjoy an amazing week. And don't forget, St. Patrick's Day. Celebrate for me too. Have a great day. I'll see you real soon.